Hi, this is God's Own Medicine PS4 Medic Maniac YouTube, and what you're watching here is some footage of a match that I had just last night when I was playing one of my other profiles, and this is a different save file to my YouTube playthrough, and we scored a great goal. We absolutely scored a great goal on the counter attack, and PES allows you to do that. But this video isn't looking at the things that PES allows you to do, like, you know, the flowing moves of counter attack like you just saw, finished off with a great goal. It's looking at something else, but I wanted to contrast what PES can do and what it still does in this PS4 gen. Now, if you have any knowledge of my other videos to do with PES over the years on YouTube, then you will know that I call a spade a spade. I absolutely do. And you have to, because there's lots of reviews out there that say this game's brilliant, this game's brilliant, this game's brilliant, and when you get it home and you put it in your PS4, what you find is that it plays completely differently to what they tell you. So what happened? So as you can see there, QPR score a goal, and you might think, well, the opposition does score goals. Yeah, it does. They should. I mean, it's football, isn't it? Both sides should try and score goals. But there's something wrong with this one. I've got an infamous video on my YouTube channel where I have a playthrough on a different iteration of PES. And my team are playing Queen's Park Rangers. And Queen's Park Rangers score a goal by kicking through my player. And I lose the match, because they score in injury time. They kick through my player and score a goal. Here, what's happened is, and I'll show it all in its slow motion glory, up close, don't you worry. But here what's happened is, I've put my defender in a position to take the ball cleanly. And he can't take the ball cleanly, because the game program won't allow him to take the ball cleanly. The game program has already prioritized and written that the QPR player, the number 10 there, scores this goal. As you can see, my defender is not fouling, but the ball goes through his foot, because the game program has already had it coded into it that in that scenario there and other scenarios like it, when the game program wants, it prioritizes the AI to have possession of the ball, and there he scored a goal, and I've shown the outcome of the match where I get a point instead of a victory. On the one hand, we score a great goal, counter-attacking goal, and on the other hand, you know, QPR cheat to score, or the game cheats to make QPR score. Here, I'm playing Barnsley, and Barnsley are world beaters. They're so fast, they're so strong, they're just amazing, and yet their players aren't as good as mine. And here what's happened is, the same defender that the game has made the ball go through his foot against QPR has come up against an immovable object, which is Woodrow. Woodrow does not flinch, Barnsley number 9. Woodrow does not react at all. And yet my defender, who is a better player than Woodrow, who is stronger and has more balance, is pushed over, really, by a game program that has written into it that the AI are stronger and faster and will win the ball, 9 times out of 10, and can pass it around so fast because the game program has been written to go into a mode that I cannot do anything about. With my plastic pad pushing buttons sat down on my backside, there's nothing I can do against this. So my player there, my number 5 defender, my best central defender in this team, he is coming up against an immovable object, something that will not even be affected. On that occasion, Woodrow does not score. And I go into the menus and I check the stats, because this is another thing. Stats. If you have a game and you put stats in your game, then what you're telling the player is these are the rules and parameters to which the game program is built around. They're built around these stats. So what you're feeding the player is the information that when they assemble a team, they look at stats to assemble a team. They look at stats. Stats are the base, the foundation of. And obviously there are alterations to do with stats depending on fatigue, depending on condition, depending on, things to do with, variables. But nonetheless, the basis, the foundation is stats. And what happens in the game coding, in the programming, is that the stats are altered to suit, like the QPR goal. The stats were altered. Oh no, the QPR player suddenly is, has possession of the ball. There's nothing you can do. On that occasion, Woodrow is an immovable object. There's nothing you can do. And yet, my stats tell me that my defender is physically stronger and has more balance. That's not what you see on the screen. They're telling you, but you can look at stats. You can search by stats. Your teamwork is stats. There's lots of stats because stats is supposed to be the core foundations of the gameplay. And yet the stats are altered on a whim because the game coding says so. These issues that I've shown here and in the QPR footage are the same issues that have been in PES the entire generation. What was it, 2015 the first one, through 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20 and 21. The entire generation has had the same problems. I've shown, on my playthrough, I've shown players who are not as fast as, for example, one of my players, Crescencio Somerville, is a very fast player, and yet the AI seem to be able to go faster than him, even though their stats tell you they're, 16 points to the minus or whatever it was. Go check the footage. I have more coming up in my playthrough, trust me. So the stats on physique, the stats on speed, the stats on ball control, the stats on passing, the stats on strength of passing, that like Barnsley players, the OPR wise, were worse than mine. Pretty much all over the pitch. But their gameplay showed that actually, if you didn't know their OPRs, if you didn't know their stats, you'd say they had the better players. Well, they didn't. But the game program just said so because the game coding was just like that. These are the same problems. Now, I completely understand that giant killing happens. I completely understand that, the form book can be turned on its head, We get that. We understand football. We know that because we love football and we know what happens in the history of football. Here's another thing that's been the same in PES the entire generation. matches where you get the badly programmed counter-attack tactic. So I came up against Stoke City, and it was snowing, and Stoke City were playing the counter-attack tactic, and I just thought, do you know what, I've had enough of this. So I just left it. I can't remember what I did. I went and did something else. And I came back to it at half time, so we'll get to that. But I want to talk about this because it's a very important point. I've mentioned this before, but we cannot, as players, we cannot alter this in the edit system, because what happens is the tactics for an AI team, like the counter-attack tactic, the badly programmed one, which results in this debacle, is tied to a manager. So the game has managers for each team, and the badly programmed counter-attack tactic is tied to that, and we cannot edit that. There's no way to edit it. Now, what needs to happen is, whoever is responsible for putting PES out in this condition, and I've spoken about this before, if you get a group of devs, right, they might be passionate about their game. The problem might not lie with them. The problem might lie with who is pulling the purse strings. Put the funding into this bit. Put the funding into this bit. Let's not spend too much because we want X amount of profit return. Instead, let's have reviewers lie to us and say that this is absolutely mega amazing, go out and buy it, and that will sell your game. Because let's face it, reviewers are just advertisers, aren't they? That's all it is. It's advertising, right? They won't tell you the truth. They won't show this. It's not. It doesn't take very long to find this stuff, and it's in every single iteration of PES this generation. It has not changed ever. But do the reviewers show this stuff? I got fed up with the Stoke game. This is the same Stoke game, and all I did in the second half was pass it around at the back because I really couldn't be bothered with it. In the badly programmed counter-attack tactic, their players are stronger and faster. They're so aggressive. It's an awful thing to play, and it happens in every single iteration of PES this generation, and the reviewers do not tell you about it ever, and it needs to change. I've said this on my videos like from start till now, and I'll keep saying it. It needs to change. PES 2020 can deliver moments of, great stuff like that goal I showed you. But the same problems exist throughout the entire generation of PES.